Welcome to the BioInsights, where science comes alive.
Today, we're going to unpack exactly how artificial intelligence is taking microbiology from a highly manual, labor-intensive science straight into a high-speed digital frontier. It's a massive shift. It is fundamentally changing how we approach human health, and I am so excited to guide you through the data today. Let's get right into it.
Okay, I want to start by asking a question that hits on a massive, totally relatable pain point for anyone who's ever waited on a critical medical diagnosis. What if we could actually bypass that agonizing wait for lab results and diagnose an infection in 30 minutes instead of days? The contrast here is just wild. In standard practice, identifying a bacteria and figuring out which drug kills it can take days. But researchers have recently developed an AI-powered single-cell test that watches how a bacteria's chromosome physically changes when it's exposed to an antibiotic. That gives us antimicrobial susceptibility results in just 30 minutes. I mean, that is an absolute game changer.
So how do we get to that 30-minute miracle? Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The microbiology bottleneck. 2. AI in the clinical lab. 3. Supercharging drug discovery. 4. Predicting outbreaks and resistance. And finally, 5. The future of microbiologists.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the microbiology bottleneck.
In traditional microbiology, the process is, well, it's agonizingly slow. At hour 0, a sample is collected. Then it takes 24 whole hours just to grow the bacteria in an incubator. After that, manual antimicrobial susceptibility testing, using those little paper discs on an agar plate, that takes another full day. And because manual lab work takes this kind of time, patients are often put on broad-spectrum antibiotics for days. That doesn't just disrupt their natural microbiome, it directly fuels global antibiotic resistance.
So the crucial point here is that to speed this whole thing up, we aren't just talking about building faster incubators, we're talking about computer vision. This is the field of AI where we literally train a computer to see and interpret complex biological data through digital images. Imagine feeding a neural network tens of thousands of pictures of bacterial colonies so it can learn exactly what to look for.
Which brings us perfectly to part 2, AI in the clinical lab.
We are officially entering the era of microbiology laboratory automation. Specimens are automatically plated and sent off to these smart incubators that constantly take high-res digital images. Think of the AI in this scenario kind of like a super intelligent mail sorting facility. It pulls out all the junk mail, sorting the no-growth or pure straightforward cultures straight into digital buckets. Because of that, the expert microbiologist only has to read the really important complex plates. It saves hours of tedious work.
But we've got to talk about the garbage in, garbage out reality of all this. Take a recent study on automated acid-fast bacilli, or AFB screening, which is what they use for tuberculosis. The automated system had a fantastic 97% sensitivity, meaning it was excellent at finding potential targets, but its specificity? A staggering 13%. Basically, it was terrible at ignoring artifacts and essentially called almost everything positive.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates our current technical limits. In that exact same study, 12% of the slides failed scanning completely. Why? Because the machine literally struggled to find a proper focal plane on the tissue samples. It's pretty simple. If the data input is flawed, like, say, an out-of-focus 20x microscopic image, the AI's output is going to be practically useless. It desperately needs high-quality, standardized imaging to actually work.
Let's shift gears a bit for part 3, supercharging drug discovery.
AI isn't just in the lab. It is fundamentally transforming research and development. Systems like DeepMind's AlphaFolds can actually predict complex 3D protein structures from simple sequences. And even wilder, researchers are testing drug efficacy on virtual digital twins. They're literally simulating how a human organ might respond to a drug before it ever even touches a real patient. By analyzing massive amounts of molecular interactions, AI lets scientists design synthetic antibodies and slash years off of R&D timelines.
To really put that incredible scale into perspective for you, scientists recently used deep learning to virtually screen almost 12 million compounds. 12 million! And through that, they successfully identified a brand new class of antibiotics against MRSA, which, as you probably know, is one of the most notoriously drug-resistant bacteria on the planet. Doing that manually would have taken lifetimes.
Let's zoom out even further for part 4, predicting outbreaks and resistance.
The global impact of these technologies is honestly staggering.
We've already talked about spotting resistant cells in 30 minutes. But by integrating real-time clinical data, genomics, travel history, and even environmental biosensors buried out in the soil or in public water systems, public health agencies are using AI for early outbreak warnings. Just like we saw during the COVID-19 pandemic, AI can model infection curves and track mutation hotspots in real time.
Finally, let's wrap up with Part 5, the future of microbiologists.
Now, before we get completely ahead of ourselves, it's really important to look at the roadblocks here. AI adoption is currently facing some serious bottlenecks. First, there's a huge lack of standardized lab protocols. I mean, one hospital might read a culture at 16 hours, another at 18 hours, and you can't just apply one single algorithm to both without it failing. Add in the massive costs of the infrastructure, super strict data privacy concerns for patient images, and pending FDA clearances, and yeah, it's clear this transformation isn't going to happen overnight.
Which naturally brings up the biggest, most common anxiety surrounding this whole digital frontier. Is this the end of the human microbiologist?
The experts from our sources say, absolutely not. Think about it like this. 20 years ago, PCR testing was this bleeding-edge technology, right? And now, it's just a totally standard tool in the lab. AI is exactly the same thing. It's a powerful new assistant. No robot is going to properly strike an agar plate or make really complex biological interpretations. AI will sort the data, sure, but it absolutely requires human oversight and biological intuition to make the final call.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If we aren't spending hours manually counting colonies or staring blankly at negative slides, our brilliant scientists are going to have a massive abundance of newly freed up time. When we finally remove the heavy burden of those mundane, repetitive tasks, what incredible medical breakthroughs will this hybrid future unlock? It is such an exciting time to be learning about this space, and I really hope this explainer gave you a clear picture of exactly where the science is heading.